Hey guys, just doing a bit of an unboxing here. Looking around for Neve clone channel strips, sort of thing to add a bit of flavour. Not so much for the mic pre, but more for the just affecting getting that sort of saturation and that Neve sound. I come across this, the Alctron MP73EQV2. And I think the version 1 was white and looked quite a bit different. These are more like the traditional Neve units and the BAE and BAE sort of style units, but not exactly the same. So I thought we'd just do a little bit of an unboxing and just see what's in here. It just came like this inside just a larger box. I got mine from here in Australia from Swamp Industries, and so there wasn't any sealing in the box, which I never love because that usually means it's been opened before. So we got some foam and more foam. What we got here? Some sort of a manual. Doesn't look like there's much to it. It's very thin. And let's look inside the box. What do we got here? Looks like some foot stoppers. That's useful. Obviously it's rack mountable, but even though I have like flight case racks and stuff, I've tended to not use them because it's harder to get into the back of them with shallower units like my Behringer UMC 1820 Euphoria, and this would be closer to the back, but it's just a bit of a pain to get into the back and make connections. So I've been keeping most of my stuff these days out of rack units, but I've got to see if I can get something that's a little bit lighter. Okay, I'm just going to pull this out, and I've just got to put the camera down to do that. Okay, well, one thing I can say is that it's heavy. It's rather heavy. There's not a heck of a lot of packaging in here, and I really wish that Swamp had packed the larger box, packed this box inside some wrapping, just even one layer inside the larger box, because it was moving around inside the larger box, which is better than nothing, but still, when you're sending high-end electronics, it's not the greatest in the world. I'm assuming this is a power supply. Just get rid of this box. Over there. I'm going to have to make some room here. I think this is probably going to have to sit underneath the Euphoria. I used to have a rack unit there, and it just ended up being more of a pain than anything else. It's open, and we've got power supply. Let's have a camera work. I'm going to do this with one hand, and yeah, looks pretty decent at the end. I tried to look online to find videos on this, and I could only find a few foreign language without any translations, and just a couple where I couldn't get anywhere I could hear any audio examples. So I'm going to see if I'm going to do some audio examples for you guys. It's got the traditional, we've got input, gain, we've got phantom power, pad, I'm not sure what that is, 10 dB, something like that, line, to activate your line input, and a low Z, EQ over here to obviously activate the EQ or turn it off, and a phase inversion, which is always nice to have. And then you've got your equalizer section along here, and this is, I think it's your low shelf, high shelf, and your output gain, so that you can mess with the input and the output to sort of get that transformer saturation. Let's just have a look at the back. Man, so there's a ton. What have I got back here? I've got a couple of inputs, one for line, one for mic, and I've got an output. So pretty basic. And yeah, so I think I might put the feet on it just to stop it slipping on this this table I've got, and then try to hook it up, make sure it's working, and hopefully get some audio examples. Okay, cheers. Hey guys, so this is just a bit of a update or ending to the video. I was going to hook everything up and give my initial impressions, but after receiving it, I realized that for what I needed to use it for, which was mainly a color box for processing drums after the fact, I was going to need more connections than I had. So I needed to get one of these XLR to balance 1/4 inch to connect the line input so that I could go from my interface into the Alctron and then back out again. I didn't realize at the time. Unfortunately, I ordered this particular one here, and when I got it, there was some problem with the XLR. It didn't work properly, and I had to contact them, and they did send out another one. I got this from Swamp as well, and wasn't super impressed with that, so I may not be buying from Swamp again. But after all that, I did end up actually getting everything sorted out, and I have been using this now on the last couple of songs that I posted on my channel. So I'm going to leave links to those. They're pretty much the 2 previous songs that I uploaded right before this review. So I'll include some audio examples at the end of this video, but if you want to sort of hear it in context, I would encourage you to go and listen to those videos, because I pretty much use this now on every track that I record, because I just find that it just makes everything sound better. Basically, I usually find that I use the EQ, and I use pretty much use a lot of 220. I usually have the low pass. I just set it on 50 or have it off. I find usually if I want to do any more sort of exact low cutting than that, either lower, I'll leave it off and just do it in Reaper in my DAW, or if maybe for guitars you could use 80, but for what I'm using it for, usually for drums, 50 is sufficient. And I really like 700 on the upper mids, and then usually I usually just leave a slight boost for the high highs or flat, and yeah, and it just makes everything sound better. So I'll include some audio examples at the end of this. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is just the fact that one thing I noticed is that it adds a bit of natural compression. So I'm finding that even on tracks where perhaps I would use more compression, running it through this, it seems to even everything off and just give everything a smoother sound, which is fantastic. So to answer 2 of the biggest questions that I had when I bought this, one, is it worth the money? I think here I paid about 500 Australian dollars. You have to work out what that is in your neck of the woods. But for me, I think it is. I think it works great as a mic preamp. It works great as a color box for what I'm using it for, and you know, I do think it's worth the money. And number 2, does it do the Neve thing? Does it do that Neve thing where it just smooths everything out, makes everything sound bright and present, but not harsh. I think it does. I'm sure if you bought a BAE or a better clone, or you had an original, or were working through a board, you know, it would sound better. I have no doubt about that. But for me, for the money, it's definitely improved the quality of my recordings. And the other thing I've noticed is it just makes everything, all the tracks fit easier in the mix. So everything just sort of fits a little bit better and sounds a little bit better and needs a little bit less EQing and processing after it's been run through this. It's rare that I have to do much to a track after it's been run through this. So there you go. Cons, I really wish it had a balanced 1/4 inch at the back instead of just the XLR in. That would make it a lot easier for me, for what I'm doing. It does have instrument at the front, DI, but it would be great to have a 1/4 inch for that, for the line level. It's not a deal breaker. I don't know whether that's to fit in with the traditional layout that they've gone for in the version 2 or whatnot. I'm not really sure. I like the knobs. The only other thing I'd say too is attention to detail. Some of these knobs aren't painted really fantastic. It's hard to see here, but there's just you know, the paint looks a bit, almost looks like something's painted on with a paintbrush. It's not fantastic. And this knob here, when you have it on 50, it's actually on off, and when you have it on off, it's actually on the next setting. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I mean, all the knobs feel great, these buttons feel great, everything feels smooth and steady, and I'm not a big fan of these I don't, selector knobs where my eyesight's not great, and I find it really hard to see the little notches. I can see it there, the little notches that show you what you're on. And I find that I'm using pretty much the same settings, which means it's not really essential, but yeah, I have to put glasses on and get a light, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt. I wish they'd just put like a little white mark or something there, so you can, I mean, I can see it clearer on the camera than I can with my naked eye here. It's not great. So it's, you know, is it a 10 out of 10? Probably not. For sound quality and overall, I'd say it'd be a 7 or an 8. This unit I've got, I haven't had issues with. I was a bit freaked out when I got this cord because I was having signal cut in and out, and I couldn't figure out whether it was my interface, whether it was this, or it was a cord. Of course it was a cord. I was not happy about that. It's a brand new cord. It was not cheap. I contacted the seller, and they did replace it, but that was sort of not a great experience. But you know, is it worth it? I think it is. So if you get the chance, if you can pick one of these up second hand, I have seen them go around sometimes second hand, you can pick them up. It's a no-brainer. They sound fantastic. If you're using it as a mic pre, it's great. If you're using it as a color box, it's great. If you're using it as a DI in, it's great. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I don't have a Neve or a BAE or even the Golden Age project to compare it to, but for me, it does sound great. So yeah, I hope that helps somebody. There's not a lot of information out on the internet about these, and yeah, a worthwhile investment.